Governor Marita. It's now my pleasure to introduce Governor Pete Ricketts of the state of Nebraska. With us the first time is the governor. Governor Pete Ricketts was sworn in as Nebraska's 40th governor in January 2015, and prior to his election as governor, he worked to support Nebraska entrepreneurs and startup companies. Governor Ricketts attended the University of Chicago, where he earned his bachelor's degree in biology and then an MBA in marketing and finance. After graduate school, Governor Ricketts returned to Omaha and worked for Union Pacific before working in his family's business, a company that most of us know as Ameritrade. He went on to hold various senior leadership positions in Ameritrade and eventually served as the president and chief operating officer. Governor Ricketts is also the founder of Draken, a firm that supports local entrepreneurs and startup companies, and then now also serves as director of Chicago Cubs baseball. Governor Ricketts, will you please?
Great. Well, thank you very much. I'd like to thank especially our chairman, Mr. Nogi, and our chairman, Mr. Doby, for making this conference so successful. It's an honor for me, as one of the newest governors in the United States, to address you as the first time this 47th annual gathering of the Midwest U.S. states and Japan to talk about how we can expand relationships and make sure that we can continue to see prosperity for all of our people. So thank you all for attending here today as well. We would not be able to have this conference without all of your participation. And of course, we're especially honored by the minister. Thank you very much for coming here today as well. The tagline for this conference is expanding our relationships. And we in Nebraska understand the importance of building those relationships and expanding upon them. We've had a relationship with Japan for over 40 years. And we look to continue to foster that in my administration. The goal of my administration is to help grow Nebraska. And that, of course, is in line with all of your goals as well, to be able to grow your respective organizations or prefectures or U.S. states. And we foster that through relationships, through conferences like this. In Nebraska, Japanese-owned businesses have invested over $4.4 billion just since 2010. And because we've got this strong relationship, the state of Nebraska has Nebraska Center Japan to help foster those connections, connect those Japanese businesses and Nebraska businesses to be able to grow the relationship. Mr. Koji Nagasaka is our executive director and helps facilitate that. And these expanding relationships have resulted in large increases in trade for Nebraska and Japan. In fact, Japan is now Nebraska's third largest export market, trading partner, surpassing China, with $735 million in merchandising trade. That represents almost 10% of our overall exports from Nebraska. We're very proud to host over 30 Japanese businesses in our state. Kawasaki is actually the oldest relationship. Kawasaki Motor Manufacturing has been in Nebraska for over 40 years. And I'm very pleased to report that they have recently signed contracts in the rail car division to build rail cars for both the city of New York and Washington, D.C. And those contracts represent over $4 billion in revenue. And they have chosen to build those rail cars in Lincoln, Nebraska, and employ 2,000 people in our capital city. But Kawasaki is not the only Japanese company that resides or invests in Nebraska. Marubeni, Oreo Genko, Itochu, Kewpie are just some of the great Japanese companies that have invested in our state, investing in industries such as food processing, ag commodities, IT security, and biofuels, to be able to help grow the relationship with Nebraska, expand their opportunities in the United States, and be able to help employ Nebraskans as well, which we very much appreciate. And it's those great companies that have helped contribute to our relationship here that is one of the reasons why it's such an honor for me to be here. Now, what is it about Nebraska that attracts all these great Japanese companies? Well, certainly, we have an advantage naturally. Our central location and our access to roads infrastructure. We've got access to two of the largest railroads in the United States. Makes us an ideal location for logistics. We've got a diverse economy, led by agriculture and manufacturing. We are a public power state with low utility costs. In fact, our Nebraska Public Power District is working with a company called Monolith Materials. Monolith Materials creates carbon black, the material you would find in your car tires or maybe part of your cell phones. And because of that relationship, Nebraska will be the site of the first utility-scale hydrogen-burning plant in the United States. And of course, when you burn hydrogen, the emission is only water vapor, so it's entirely clean burning. But of all these natural advantages, our greatest natural advantage is our people. I think some of my colleagues have commented upon the ethics and values that exist in the Midwest, and certainly they're true in Nebraska. I can tell you, my family business has hired thousands of Nebraskans. It's one of the reasons why we are so successful. And when you hire a Nebraskan, you can count on getting someone who is well educated, who has a tremendous work ethic based in our rural heritage, who will be loyal and who will help your company succeed. In state government, we're doing our part. With my business background, I'm bringing those best business practices to running state government so that we can do a better job of delivering our services while we bring our costs down. Something you all do every day in your industries. That will allow us to be more competitive on taxes. We're cutting regulatory red tape. And importantly, focusing on education. Every manufacturer I've spoken with in Nebraska has told me that they cannot find enough of the key skills. And I've heard this is an issue all across the United States. Whether it's welders, electricians, machinists. And so we are working with the private sector and our school system to develop the curriculum to help our young people get exposure to the great careers available in the skilled labor force. In my administration, we just announced the grant award winners for 2 companies to help young people get exposed to careers in manufacturing and IT. A couple of weeks ago, I was at a high school that is working with companies like Rankin Manufacturing and Central Valley Agriculture to be able to develop curriculum to allow those young people to get the skills they need to either go on to a 2-year or 4-year degree or go straight into the workforce with a certificate in skills such as irrigation technician or chemical ag applicator. Developing our young people to make sure we've got the right trained, skilled workforce is one of the ways that we will help make sure that companies in Nebraska can find the workforce they need to be able to grow and expand. All of this together has helped make Nebraska one of the top 10 states for rankings such as business friendliness, regulatory friendliness, cost of doing business, cost of living. We're a top 10 healthiest state. We've got one of the best education systems in the United States. And we're a financially sound state. In Nebraska, we only spend what we make. And we only have $13 in debt. That's right, 13 for every person. And have, again, high AAA ratings, such as one of my colleagues referenced earlier as well. We have a fantastic place for any company to be successful. So I invite you all to come visit our state, We'd love to show you our hospitality, show you all the reasons why investing in Nebraska will help make you successful. Again, thank you all very much for attending this conference. It's important that we develop these relationships between the United States and Japan, and in particular, the Midwest states that are represented here. There is a common bond here in our values and how we approach the world. And it's important that we continue to expand upon that for the prosperity of all of our peoples. Thank you again, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much, Governor.